I already started it.
Good evening. Thank you for joining the Roxbury PTA and PTOs for the annual Meet the Candidates Night. I'm Amber Martin, this year's Lincoln Roosevelt Schools PTO President. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tonight's event will be live streamed thanks to Roxbury High School Gaelvision and will be made available on the district's Facebook page and website tomorrow. This evening will be moderated by Nancy Hedinger from the League of Women's Voters. The evening will last about an hour and a half, and we'll try to get through as many questions as possible. And we'll now turn it over to Sarah Rubenstein from the League of Women's Voters.
Thank you. Good evening. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Morris area and our co-sponsors, the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Inc. Morristown Alumni Chapter and the West Morris Reporter, I'm pleased to welcome you to our Board of Education Forum. My name is Sarah Rubenstein. I am a member of the League of Women Voters of the Morris area, and I help to organize the debates and forums for the candidates running for elected office in our community. The LWV is a nonpartisan organization, and therefore we never support or oppose political parties or candidates. Elections and voting are our core concerns, and empowering voters, defending democracy is our mission. We are committed to providing fact-based information about issues and positions candidates take on those issues to help voters make their own decisions and participate in the electoral process. Membership in the League is open to all ages and gender identities. We welcome volunteers, whether or not you are a member. With 100 years of experience, the League is one of America's oldest and most trusted civic nonprofit organizations. I'd now like to welcome our co-sponsors for this debate. First is Mike from the West Morris Reporter.
Mike Cotton from the West Morris Reporter. Formerly Roxbury Register. Such a sunny day. I had a lot of people saying to me, "Oh, is this a new paper?" And I said, "No, we're the Roxbury Register, just a new name." They combined the Randolph paper and the Mount Olive paper. So glad to be here. I usually have our freelancer Joe cover, but he does it remotely. So this is a rare appearance for me to actually be here. So.
Thank you, Mike. The Deltas couldn't be here tonight, but I have a statement. Ms. Regina Ashford, President of the Morristown Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Inc., extends her greetings to all candidates here tonight that are participating in the Roxbury Board of Education candidates debate. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is an organization of college-educated women committed to the constructive development of its members to public service with a primary focus on the Black community. We provide an extensive array of public service initiatives through our 5-point programmatic trust of economic development, educational development, physical and mental health, international awareness, and involvement and political awareness. The Delta Sigma Theta was founded at Howard University and has been committed to service through social action since our founding in 1913. Our 22 founders participated in the suffrage march of 1913. Just 2 months after establishing the sorority, and our members have been at the forefront of social and political struggles ever since. As part of our political awareness and involvement, the Morristown Alumni Chapter is engaged in voter registration, education, and mobilization in Morris, Sussex, Warren, and Huntingdon counties. We would like to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us to co-sponsor the Roxbury Board of Education Forum, along with the New Jersey Hills Media Group. Please be advised that we do not endorse political candidates, and candidates from all political parties were invited to participate. We look forward to a healthy debate forum tonight with our candidates. We encourage everyone to go to vote411.org, a one-stop site for information on all aspects of voting in New Jersey, including statements on the issues from your candidates. And please visit our website to learn more about the Morris Area League. Remember to make your vote count and vote in one of three ways. Number one is vote by mail ballot, if you signed up for that. Number two is early in-person voting using a voting machine. That starts Saturday, October 25th and runs to Sunday, November 2nd. No appointment is necessary. And the third way is to vote in person on Tuesday, November 4th. This form will be available for viewing on the Morris Area League of Women Voters YouTube channel, and other language captions will also be available. We encourage the sharing of the league recording of this event in its entirety, but do not allow editing or making public any excerpts from the recording. The league name, logo, event recording, or any materials from the event cannot be used in a way that could lead a viewer or reader to infer league support for or in opposition to any candidacy. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderator, Nancy Hedinger. Nancy is a league-trained moderator who is not from this voting district. She will introduce the candidates and outline the format for this evening.
Thank you, Sarah, and welcome everyone to this Roxbury Board of Education debate. I'm pleased to be with you tonight as your League of Women Voters moderator, and I'd like to start by thanking the candidates for their participation. You've already heard who's co-sponsoring. So prior to this evening, the voters of Roxbury Township were given an opportunity to submit questions for the candidates online. These varied questions have been reviewed by the League and one of our sponsors for length, clarity, and language. We also attempted to consolidate multiple questions on one topic into a single question. So while your specific question may not be asked as submitted, it is represented in the questions being asked. And when we did this, we divided the questions into 5 themes. They are vision for Roxbury, ethics, health education, curriculum, and budget. Now I understand that people may have submitted questions up until, okay, we're finished accepting questions from the floor. So, great. The format for this evening's debate is as follows. The forum will be divided into 3 parts. First, each candidate will deliver a 2-minute opening statement. Your candidates have drawn numbers to determine the order of the opening and closing statements. Following opening statements, I will begin the question and answer portion of this evening's forum. The candidates will have 1 minute to answer, 1 minute to answer each question. Our timekeeper, Diane Holland, will give a 30-second warning, followed by an alert when the time is up. At that point, candidates will be allowed to finish their sentence and then we will move on. Time limits are strictly enforced. Diane's right on with the time zone. And after all candidates have responded to a question, we have discussed, the candidates and I have discussed that instead of having rebuttals, we would add time on to their closing statements so that they can address anything that wasn't covered and wanted to address as a rebuttal, because rebuttals can suck up a lot of time, and we have great questions here, and only so much time to go through them all. So, and then following the question and answer section, each candidate will give a 2.5-minute opening statement. And now we'll begin with opening statements. And pursuant to the drawing, Chris, we didn't introduce the candidates. I'm sorry. Your candidates for this evening are Annette Brooks. I don't have your order here. The order they are on the ballot are as follows: Adam Delzercio, Christopher Milby, Sharon McGregor-Nazaro, Christopher Conzen, Annette Brooks, and Jennifer Marchese. Thank you so much. So we're going to start the opening statements with Chris Milby.
Oh, I love these things. Okay. Good evening, everyone. As Nancy mentioned, my name is Chris Milby. I have had the honor of serving on the board for almost 3 years now, and I've had the privilege to be our board president this year. I am seeking re-election, but before I start, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters, the Lincoln Roosevelt PTO, Ann Rhodes for putting this together, organizing this. Very appreciated. Much appreciated. I am running for re-election because I am actually really excited about all the things that we are doing, and I want to continue to be a part of it. I want to continue supporting Dr. Santoro, who has brought a new life with new ideas and a vision of greatness for this district that he is working tirelessly to see through. I have never seen anybody work any harder than him. I want to continue helping to problem solve and take on the many challenges our district faces, primarily this immense reduction in state aid. I've got 2, soon to be 5 kids in this district, so you best believe I'm going to do everything I can to make these schools as safe as they can be, while my student and every student here has the best possible academic experience and has provided the opportunity to achieve success in life. Most of you know I'm a man of few words. Some of you know that I'm actually really not. But I speak with my actions, I lead by example, I don't make promises I can't keep, and I won't ever try to deceive the public in an attempt to earn some votes. Here are a few things that I'm actually really proud to be a part of during my time here on the board. We brought a full-time security resource officer on board to help keep our schools safer. We also voted for the speed tables at the high schools, another layer of safety. We voted in favor of live streaming board meetings so it's easier for parents to watch and listen and have the ability to stay involved in their children's education. And how about our aviation program? We expanded this to an academy so other students in Morris County can tuition in and have the same opportunity our students have. More importantly now, more than ever, this actually will create a very nice revenue stream for the district.
Thanks, Chris. Your time's up. Thank you. Our next, the number 2 draw is from Adam Delzercio.
How are you? You don't hear me? Thanks for organizing this. I'm really excited to be here. I want to thank everybody in the audience. It's great to see people here and having an interest in the community. It's super important. I want to thank everybody watching online, which is where I would be if I wasn't up here. Thank you for your interest. This is what makes the community grow and move and improve. So, my name is Adam Gaelvision. I'm a lifelong Roxbury resident. I attended kindergarten and I graduated high school in Roxbury in 1993. Super involved in sports growing up. The only time I left was to go get my education, and I came right back to Roxbury, where I was hired as a police officer in 1999. I completed a 25-year career at Roxbury. I had a great career, a robust career. It brought me actually all over the country, not just Roxbury. So I had an incredible police experience, which I would draw upon if I was fortunate enough to be elected. I retired in last October, and I currently run a jiu-jitsu gym in town. So if you know what that is, it's a grappling art, it's a martial arts studio. I have 2 children in district, one in 7th grade and one a freshman, so they're entering their prime academic year. So I have a vested interest in the success of the Roxbury educational system. Both my parents were teachers. In fact, my mom retired and she was a teacher for many, many years, 5th grade in this very school we're in right now. My dad taught for 40 years in West Orange, and my brother's a teacher in West Orange, administrative assistant. So I have 100 years of education experience to draw on. All right, my platform, what I really want to concentrate on is school safety, obviously. Teacher retention is very important to me, and forward-thinking education. I want to prepare our students to have the absolute best life moving forward after they leave Roxbury. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Conzen is our next.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Christopher Conzen, and I would like to start by thanking the League of Women Voters, the West Morris Reporter, the Morristown Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated, our PTOs and PTAs, the folks behind Gaelvision, and of course Nancy, our moderator, as well as Ann for helping get this together tonight. I'm originally from Parsippany and moved to Sakasana in 2018 with my wife, mother-in-law, and 2 children. Both of my children attend Roxbury Public Schools. Our oldest is at the high school and our youngest here at Lincoln Roosevelt. For the past 6 years, I've worked at a community college in northern New Jersey, where my primary role is to provide opportunities for high school students to earn college credits. I have a unique perspective on the challenges facing young people as they consider their futures after high school. Community involvement is very important to me. I'm an active parishioner at St. Therese, where I serve as a lector, and previously as a catechist and organizer of the altar service. I also served as the recording secretary for the Kennedy Elementary PTA for 2 years and was a room parent for a year as well. In addition to navigating many of the same processes our fellow Roxbury parents have experienced, my wife and I have firsthand knowledge of the district's special education program. We have been blessed in partnering with many dedicated teachers and professionals, while also experiencing frustrations navigating a system that has needs and needs of improvement. I'm running for the Board of Education because I want to see the board serve in its true nonpartisan role. I believe the board should focus on supporting the school district in providing a safe and enriching environment that honors all students' interests and backgrounds. My goal is to help the district strive to go beyond the basics, to provide students with the tools they need to be future ready and successful in whatever path they choose to pursue after graduation. Thank you.
Thank you. Annette Brooks?
I'd like to thank the Morris Area League of Women Voters, the West Morris Reporter, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, as well as the PTAs for sponsoring and hosting this debate tonight. And thank you also to Gaelvision for streaming. My name is Annette Brooks, and I am a 33-year resident of Roxbury, including being a past Board of Education member, Vice President, and President. My husband and I bought our home when we got married, and we were blessed to raise 3 children here, all who went through the Roxbury School District. While they were growing, I was involved in everything they did. I was team moms, I was involved in booster clubs, PTAs, and also I taught their religious education. When my youngest went off to college, I decided to put the focus back on my career. For 25 years, I have been part of the software development team for financial software, so I am very well versed with budgets and also with balancing the needs of the business versus the financial needs of the company. I've decided to come back to Roxbury Board of Ed because I am very concerned. I'm concerned about our drop in rankings from the 70s and 80s to now being 195, 110 points behind Mount Olive. I'm concerned about the drastic loss of teachers and administrators that we seem to be experiencing every month. And I'm also concerned about the lack of transparency and communication from the Board of Ed to the residents in town. My children may not be in the school anymore, but I do plan on staying here for a very long time, and I believe in the adage that it takes a village to raise a child. I know I will help this next generation as I have in the past. Place your trust in me, and I will work hard to give your children the same excellent education that my children received, and I will bring integrity back to the Roxbury Board of Ed.
Thank you. Jennifer Marchese.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Marchese, the mother of a Jefferson Elementary first grader and an educator. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters, the West Morris Reporter, and the Morristown Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority for hosting this event. I grew up in Hopaka and spent most of my life working locally. I moved to Roxbury to be with my husband and love of my life in 2016. That was the same year I earned my master's degree of arts in teaching from Montclair and attained a K-12 certification, 2 teacher certifications in both visual arts and theater arts. I worked for Randolph for a couple of years before using my teaching skills to enrich the lives of memory-challenged seniors on the other end of their learning journey. After spending 3 years at home with my daughter, I returned to teach as a substitute, but quickly stepped in to cover maternity leaves for other teachers in the arts. I moved to the Roxbury School District to support my daughter entering kindergarten and fell in love with the amazing staff at Jefferson Elementary. I went on a mission to do anything within my power to make Roxbury schools the best places to work, grow, and learn. That is the reason I chose to run for the Board of Education. My experience working in public schools, private schools, and non-school settings lends me a perspective that few on the stage share. I have worked with some students as young as 2 and as old as 102. I may have learned more from them than they have learned from me. I am also an effective communicator and a mediator. I have always had the ability to listen to different people and hear their opinions and find commonality. I also know how to rephrase a concept and communicate ideas to my specific audience and meet people where they are at. I intend to bring those skills to the Board of Education and negotiate in a cooperative spirit in the face of potential systemic pressures.
Thank you. And finally, Sharon, Representative Sharon.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sharon Rizal, and I'm honored to be your support for the election to the Roxbury Board of Education. I want to sincerely thank the PTAs of Franklin Jefferson Kennedy, the PTOs of Alabama, Franklin Roosevelt, EMS, and Rhodes, our co-sponsors, Children's Media, Morristown Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, and the League of Women Voters for creating this space where we can talk about the future of Roxbury schools. The last time I ran for school board, I'll be honest, I had little idea what I was getting into. I just wanted to help the kids make our school better with taxes low. Over the past 2 years, I've learned how a school board works, how decisions are made, the importance of meeting protocol, and most importantly, how to listen. Now that I have experience under my belt, I'm ready to continue working for you. As a mother of 2 sons with special learning needs, I have firsthand experience navigating the complexities of our education system. This perspective drives my commitment to increasing education and family support. I've also advocated on the state level for improved communication with non-speaking special needs children, ensuring they have a voice in their education. Professionally, I've been over 20 years in education and publishing as a consultant for Scholastic, along with a dedicated medical education and technology. My master's level work in technology integration helps me support innovative, effective learning solutions in our schools. On the board, I serve on key committees advocating for transparency, opportunity, and academic excellence. I've supported initiatives such as reinstating CPAC, voting to repeal policy 5756, voting to close schools on election day, hiring SRO, and speak to those in the legislature through safety, and improving budgets to balance taxpayer interests with education quality. Even while facing personal challenges, including metastatic breast cancer, back reconstruction, I remain dedicated to attending board meetings virtually for my hospital care, because every child in Roxbury deserves a chance.
Thank you. Can I ask everyone to move your microphones closer so that everyone can hear, and so that the video, the audio can pick up your voices too. Okay. Thank you. So the first theme is Vision for Roxbury School District, and our first question is, what is your long-term vision for public education in Roxbury, and what performance indicators do you propose to measure the district's success? And the first, that question will first go to Annette Brooks, please.
Well, I'd like to see Roxbury get back up in the rankings. I think there are a number of things that can be done and that kind of brought that down. The first is the teachers. I think we need to keep our teachers, retain teachers, get new teachers, attract new teachers, and I think that's crucial to keeping the rankings up. But I'd like to see us get our rankings back up to the top 100 where they belong. They don't belong, 110 points behind Mount Olive. The budget has always been hard, but I think we can balance that by being a little creative with what we want to do. Things like student teachers or bringing some things back in-house. We can do this without spending extra money.
Thank you. And next, Chris Conzen.
So, long-term, first of all, I'd like to see a more cohesive approach to dual enrollment opportunities. There's some great opportunities, but they're kind of just a menu right now. I would like to see opportunities and programs like I offer in my full-time work where students can earn both full associate's degrees or credentials that they can use in the workforce. I would also like to make sure that the district focuses as much on the students who are going directly into the workforce expanding things like work-based learning opportunities so that more students get the skills that employers say they are lacking when they enter the workforce.
Thank you. Adam?
Yeah, a big part of my platform is forward-thinking education. Like, I want to prepare our students for the future and make completely well-rounded students, whether that means adding electives. Chris touched on the aviation program. That is a great example of forward-thinking education, okay? I want our kids to be financially literate, learn about stocks, investing, and have creative programs that's going to not just set them up to go to college, but set them up to be successful in life. As far as other things that can be improved, morale is huge. If your teachers are happy to be there, they're happy to teach your kids, and your kids are going to get more out of it. So I have a lot of creative ideas to improve teaching morale. I served in our police union for 20 years. I successfully negotiated 6 different contracts. And we were very, very creative in those contracts. We were actually able to save money and offer our officers great benefits. And not just benefits, medical benefits, other benefits, where our officers left happy and the town was happy.
Thank you. Next is Jennifer, please.
Yes, I think one of the keys to helping our scores and our situation is early intervention. The sooner we find kids who have a problem, the sooner we can get them back up to track. So I think that's something that I'd like to focus on, really supporting our early intervention. And I agree with Adam over here about teacher morale. And I understand that that's so super important to make sure teachers are getting the support they need from the community and the administration, and feel like they really want to come to work. And that's what I would like to work on as well.
Thank you. Jen?
As far as teachers, there's plenty of ways to thinking about. There's programs we can have, such as flexible work time, part of the community with businesses and incentives, and all kinds of other, think outside the box as far as programs to boost our ratings.
Excuse me, could you move a little closer to the mic?
Okay. We need to work on trades. There's a whole bunch of businesses in this town that can take kids on as apprentices. There are online programs that we can do virtually in schools to train kids to go into trades. They can take these courses in school and then work for people in the community to, then if they graduate, they'll be completely qualified to work in a trade.
Thank you. Chris? Ann?
Yeah, Sharon just touched on trades. I think that's huge. I mean, we've already seen a significant increase in enrollment of trade schools rather than colleges or traditional universities. So I think we're already kind of, with the aviation program, with the SDF program, I would love to see an auto or mechanics shop class implemented. I also want to address the teacher retention and teacher shortage piece. I don't believe Roxbury actually has a problem with that, because we're not seeing teachers leave out of dissatisfaction. We're seeing teachers, I think this is a testament to Roxbury, teachers are leaving because they're getting great experience here and actually improving their careers and moving on, or they're retiring, and we're not having an issue filling those holes. And with regards to scores, we're navigating a cruise ship here. We already have things in place to identify the areas of improvement, but we're not going to see the results of that, for years down the line. But I believe those measures are already taking place.
Thank you. Our second question, Chris has kind of started answering that for us, and he's actually the first person to answer the second question, which is, what steps will you take to address the teacher retention issues Roxbury is facing?
As a board member, all I can really do is collaborate with other board members and work with our superintendent to see what we can do to improve morale is huge. You know, that's the foundation of what we're talking about, satisfaction. Budget's a huge thing. We are faced with, we've been given a cinder block. We're trying to tread water here, you know, with this budget issue. But I really don't think outside of just having creative programs in place or you know, situations where we feel like the teachers are getting what they need. As a board member, there's not a ton that we can do outside of just collaborating with our superintendent and providing creative ideas for him.
Thank you. Sharon, same question.
Attracting and retaining top teachers and paraprofessionals is critical for student success. We need to do it thoughtfully while being fiscally responsible, especially after several years of S2 cuts. I would support policies that focus on professional growth and recognition, such as providing district mentoring programs for new teachers, ongoing training opportunities, and leadership pathways for paraprofessionals who want to advance. We can also explore non-salary incentives that make Roxbury an attractive place to work, such as flexible scheduling, recognizing excellence through awards and public acknowledgement, and partnering with local business for discounts or shows. Finally, I would advocate for creative funding solutions to support initiatives without raising taxes, applying for federal and state grants, taking advantage of REF funding, and pursuing shared service agreements with nearby districts and expanding the district program that can bring tuition-paying students. These steps together will help us retain high-quality staff, maintain strong programs, and respect our taxpayers.
Thank you. Jennifer.
Yeah, I think there are two problems, two main factors contributing to the retention of teachers: shrinking resources and external social forces. Teachers are asked to do so much more with a lot less, and that's hard because the budget is a solid thing. So we have to think of ideas and ways of maybe reaching out to the community to crowdsource some of the other materials that maybe we can take off of the plate of the schools. So reach to those who still have. The other thing that I'm interested in is external forces. In many places in this world, in this heated climate that we have right now, there are forces that vilify teachers, and we should never vilify our teachers. We need to revere our teachers, and we need to always remember that they are here for the right reasons.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to draw my police experience again, unfortunately. Yes, but I was a union president, like I mentioned, and as union president, you are representing the rank and file. The equivalency of that in education to teachers. I'm a product of a teacher family. My mom and dad were both teachers. As a rank and file, have the toughest job in the district. Police work weekends, holidays, midnights. The teachers are dealing with the children every day. So, as president of the police union, I was able to negotiate our contract to where we lowered the budget, the town's budget for the police department, salary and benefits, and increased, believe it or not, increased the benefits for our officers. So I have so many creative ideas on how to bring what I did with the police department over to the teachers, because it's very similar. And I'm not saying we're going to lower the budget, but not increase the budget too much, but provide some benefit and creative resources for the teachers to be happy at their job.
Thank you. Chris Conzen, sorry.
So like my neighbor Adam here, I'm also involved in the union. I'm the vice president of my chapter of NJEA for my college, and you know, I echo that when you're in union leadership, it's crucial to get the voices of the members. And sometimes I think that allowing people to be heard goes such a long way. Now, it's important not to circumvent the leadership, so it's not a way to circumvent, you know, our superintendent, but creating something like a teacher advisory committee or board, that where a board of education member sits as a listener, not an active participant, so that they have an unfiltered way to share their stories and experiences from the ground. And this is, again, not to circumvent the superintendent, but actually to be a help. Because sometimes people will share things with different individuals that they're not willing to share with their supervisor. And you know, you want them to know that they're being heard.
Thank you. Annette?
I think we all know that teachers are the backbone of the school. They're with the students 24/7. Even when they are home, the students are on their minds. They're thinking about them, they're grading papers, they're making lesson plans. And so I think the first step is just giving them respect for the job that they do. They do a great job, and we have great teachers in district. One of the ways that we can help them out is by improving professional development, keeping them trained, because they need those credits in order to keep their licenses going. Another thing, someone was talking about class sizes being larger. Well, what about using something like student teachers to help in the classroom? We have St. Mary College right here that has a large teaching program. A lot of kids from Roxbury go there. If we use that for student teachers, it takes the load off the teachers without adding to our budget. And that's some of the ways that we can be creative in helping them take the burden off them.
Thank you. The third question, we'll start with Chris Conzen, and it is, what specific actions would you implement to address our falling performance in school rankings?
So I think it's important, and my stats professors would yell at me if I didn't point this out, but we do know that, for example, the U.S. News and World Report rankings are skewed, and they're skewed towards the college-going students. They rank AP and IB very high. And unfortunately, when you're a diverse school like ours, where we have students in multiple pathways, that doesn't always reflect the success that's going on in our schools. However, there are opportunities to expand the amount of students who are taking AP classes and taking the AP exams. And I also think one way to increase the amount of students who take those AP exams, when again we can work with the REF possibly and look at funding opportunities for students from low-income families for whom the price of taking the AP exam is a barrier. You know, maybe that's an opportunity where they get a mini scholarship to pay for the AP exam. If we can increase the amount of students taking APs and also increase their performance, that will have a positive impact on those scores.
Thank you. Adam?
Yeah, I would take a multi-pronged approach to this. Digest the stats, investigate why did we drop. It's one thing to complain, oh, we dropped. We have to investigate, understand why. Was it because of COVID? Was it because we're losing our quality teachers? What was the reason? We can investigate it, formulate a plan as a Board of Ed, and then enact that plan. Mr. Mildy said they have a plan in place, and it sounds like it's starting, the wheel is turning to improve it. So, I mean, this is not something you're going to approve overnight. So like I said, investigate a plan, formulate a plan, identify why we dropped, and then execute our plan to improve our scores.
Thank you. Shannon? Mr. Shannon? Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with my previous candidates in that we have a program going. Dr. Santor is very good at keeping records of music and everything. Our district has a lot of ESL students. We need to make sure that we're meeting their needs to make sure that's going to help our ratings, because they're going to do better on tests and things like that. We need to get more kids taking AP. We need to get more kids doing dual enrollment, and we need to work on trades. I know trades aren't in the magazine ratings, but trades will ultimately help our kids graduate and be successful.
Thank you. Jen?
Hi. We discussed this a little ahead of time, so we had all talked about getting those AP scores up. And I thought about possibly a scholarship fund for students who perform very, very well in the classes. So academically based scholarship to get those kids to take the tests, because there's a higher likelihood that they will actually pass the test with a high enough score to make it count triple. The other thing that I'd like to think about and steps to improve is I'd like students to really understand what it needs what they need for requirements to graduate, and impress upon them that what they need to do is important for the whole school, and work on maybe getting our graduation rates up if we can find the kids who are struggling and help them.
Thank you. Chris, M.
Alan actually covered a lot of what I was going to discuss as well, but I think it comes down to just tracking data, right? See where we're at, see where the holes are, and put a plan in place. I think Linkit is in place. That was brought in and implemented. But I also believe that it really comes down to we need to make sure that we're testing on what's actually being taught in the classroom. I think there's a big, sometimes a disconnect where kids are learning, but they're not being tested on what they're actually learning. ESL is huge, and we have Myrna Hernandez, who one of her ideas was making sure we have a liaison. Making sure that the students or the parents are actually able to communicate the students with what the teachers are trying to communicate to them as well. There's a lot of different ways to improve scores, but I don't think we're going to see anything change overnight. But as long as we're making sure we're tracking data and making the changes that are necessary.
Thank you. Annette?
I kind of agree with everyone going last on this one. We need to analyze the test scores for the younger kids first off. That's a huge portion of the rankings. One of the other things, the rankings are based on AP scores and IB scores, a lot of the test scores for seniors. So someone who comes in and is taking AP scores freshman, sophomore, junior year doesn't always go into those rankings. So maybe we need to encourage the seniors to be taking the test more often. Not just the lower kids and taking them when they're freshmen, but having those seniors take them. If we have to possibly figure out a way to supplement to take the test so that it is not as expensive. I think we also need to, as Jen had said before, earlier we do the intervention, the better kids are going to do on their scores when they're taking the tests, because we can't expect them to take the test when they're not diagnosed until much later in the year.
Thank you. The next question, we're going to start with Jennifer. And the question is, do you believe the state's childhood vaccination schedule should be a requirement for attending Roxbury schools?
Well, that's an easy one because it doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what the law is, and I will follow the law.
Sharon?
Well, I don't necessarily believe in vaccination mandates. I'm with Jennifer, we have to follow the law.
Aaron? I'm going to get to this one quickly.
Yeah, it's a very nuanced subject, but the law is the law. What I feel about a person doesn't matter. That's what's been voted into law. That's the law.
Thank you. Chris, C?
I'm sorry I'm going to bore everybody, but I agree with everybody else. It's the law, and so as a board member, we are required to follow the law.
Annette?
It's the law. We follow whatever the law says, and after the law, we follow what our policies say.
And Chris? Okay, that was great. We're going to get to more questions now. The fifth question, and we're still in vision, so the fifth question, we're going to start with Adam, and it is, in the past, board committee reports were made available and open Board of Ed discussion meetings were held prior to regular Board of Ed meetings where votes were taken. Can you comment on the changes to these practices, and what, if anything, would you do differently to respond to citizens' concerns about transparency? And again, we're going to start with Adam.
Yeah, well, I don't currently serve on the board, so I'm not completely up to date on all the policies and regulations. However, again, I can draw on my experience as a police officer heading into the big controversy years ago was getting body-worn cameras. And I'll tell you, I did not want body-worn cameras as a police officer because it was new and it was different and it was scary. And now I am a giant supporter of body-worn cameras. It's actually done more for the police and created more trust with the public than even I could ever imagine. So I would take that thinking and bring it over to my Board of Ed experience, and more transparency builds more trust, more cooperation, and it just builds a community and improves the relationship with the Board of Ed and your public. So I support transparency, absolutely.
Thank you. Sharon?
I'm in agreement with Adam. I support transparency. There are some guidelines, though. For instance, with personnel reports, I just just read a statement, personnel committee meetings are different from other committees because they deal with confidential matters. By law and NJSBA guidance, committee members cannot publicly share details about individual employees, evaluation, staffing, issues, or compensation. What I can report is that the committee met, reviewed personnel matters, discussed recommendations from the administration in general terms, and is bringing those recommendations to the board for full approval. This means I cannot include information about teacher or paraprofessional shortages, staff morale, or other sensitive personnel issues in public committee reports. Final decisions always rest with the full board, and these rules ensure we protect employee privacy while still keeping the public informed at a high level. But as far as other committees, I believe it reports privacy.
Thank you. Chris M.
Sure. Transparency is crucial, but I also, the spirit of the discussion when we decided as a board, and I believe everybody voted on this, was to limit the amount of unnecessary information being passed during our board meetings for conducting business. The discussion was, and the plan is to, when there is something notable, when there is something that is worth mentioning, the person delivering the committee report, the chair of that committee, is to note all of this. It's not a means of hiding the information. Specific to the budget is probably the most, the biggest thing anybody's interested in. That's always posted on our website, so if anybody really wants to know about it, they can go see it. Check it out. They can come to the board, the budget presentation. But it's not a matter of hiding anything. It's just a matter of being efficient with our time. So I do agree that things in most committees, except for the ones that we can't, should be shared. But I also don't think a 45-minute meeting, when it could be 37 minutes, is all that necessary.
Thank you. Annette?
I actually spoke about this at the last Board of Ed meeting. Committee meeting reports are crucial to transparency to the public. Back when I was on board, we had workshop meetings where we discussed this all in public, because when you are in a committee, there are only a certain amount of members from the board on that committee. Now you go in and everyone comes in and votes, but no one discusses what was discussed on the committee. No one knows what's on the agenda. And that little blurb that's on there shouldn't be enough to vote on. So how is everyone else finding out about this information? They're not finding out about it in public, which is where they should be discussing this. The public does have the right and the information to need to know that information. They have the right to be able to make comments on what's being discussed. As an example, there was a meeting 2 months ago. Policy committee had nothing to say. Meanwhile, there were 70 pages of policies that were discussed.
Thank you. And Chris?
So I thank Annette for explaining the committee structure. Saves me from having to do it. But I think what's important to remember, New Jersey has sunshine laws, and as Sharon mentioned, personnel matters are exempt from those sunshine laws. But that and certain legal matters are the only things that are exempt from the sunshine law. Everything else is public information. And because there's only a portion of the board members who serve on each of these committees, having somebody in that committee decide what's worth sharing with the public and what isn't now has that individual deciding for everybody else what they deserve to know. This is a public entity. This is a taxpayer-supported district. We all deserve to know. And so expanding transparency, even if it means staying at a meeting a little bit longer, is more important than getting home a little bit early and getting racing through the agenda.
Thank you. Well, that concludes our vision for Roxbury section. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you.
I apologize. Jennifer.
Thank you. I actually cannot speak to the policy and how it has changed within Roxbury, because I did not experience it before. However, I do want to give props out to Dr. Santoro, because what he has done, he has made information in the schools accessible when he does his coffee with the superintendent series. I would love to start working with him on that, because that brings in people in a more casual situation where they feel a little bit more comfortable and they can ask questions to the people who want to be on the board and who are on the board and can have a conversation with them without feeling intimidated. Because I know in a formal setting, some people, some parents can feel rather intimidated.
Thank you. Now, sorry for that. We'll go on to the next section, which is ethics. And we received several questions regarding the New Jersey Code of Ethics for school board members and the nonpartisan stance of the board. So the question is, and we will start with Sharon on this one. How would you uphold the Code of Ethics, and what steps would you take if a member violates that code?
I would do attempt to follow ethics as closely as possible. Okay. As far as if a fellow board member violated ethics, I would most likely go to Dr. Santoro and talk that over and allow him to address it.
Thank you. Adam?
Yeah, you have to follow policies, rules, and regulations if there is an ethics violation. Whatever those are, I'm not current on them as of now on the board.
Okay, Chris?
Chris?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Yes, there is no choice. So attempting to follow the Code of Ethics is not a choice. You have to follow the Code of Ethics. Now, as somebody who wants to be collegial with my colleagues, if I was witnessing a breach of the Code of Ethics, I would do everything in my power in the moment, because I want to be able to offer that individual grace to say, you may want to rethink this. But if that person, even if they're a colleague, refuses to listen and wantonly breaks and violates this Code of Ethics that we all take an oath to follow, then I think it's appropriate to follow the steps and submit that report, that violation, to New Jersey. And that's the proper step. We don't want to get Dr. Santoro involved in board members' violations of ethics.
Thank you. Annette?
When you go on the Board of Ed, prior to even being elected, you have training on what the Code of Ethics is for a Board of Ed member. And then when you get elected, you have to take an oath that you will uphold that Code of Ethics. It's no different than the law when it comes to the Board of Ed. You have agreed to follow those ethics, and it's just a law that the Board of Ed members have to follow.
Okay, thank you. Chris M.
I agree a lot with Chris on that, where if in the moment there is sort of an oversight or lapse of judgment, kind of mitigating the bud or just getting ahead of it. If it does become an issue, the process really would be, you address it with. I would be sure to address it with the board president, and maybe even through the board president involved the board attorney. I don't believe board members can report other board members for ethics violations, but maybe have that addressed internally. If it is sort of an egregious sort of violation, a member of the public can certainly file an ethics charge with the state.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Hi. I am not sure every rule in the ethics book yet, because I have not been on the board and I have not seen it. So I don't know how I would behave. I would hope that I would behave ethically at all times. And if I overstepped, I would expect somebody to say, hey, Jen, you're doing the wrong thing here. And I would appreciate that information so I could correct my behavior. On the other hand, I think I would have to leave it to more senior members of the board, maybe some of the lawyers on the board, that actually would know if somebody was breaking a rule as to whether or not they should be saying what they're saying. So I just hope everybody on the board swears to do their best and try to be as ethical as possible.
Thank you. Now we're moving to health education. The next question has to do with policy 5756. And for anyone who's not familiar with that, it's, without getting into the weeds, it's a policy that state-mandated guidance for transgender support, requiring the district to accept students of certain gender identities and not mandating parental notification. The Roxbury Board of Education rescinded this policy in 2024. My question is, or the question is, and it's going to start with Annette, how has education in the school district, I mean, you may or may not, how has education in the school district been impacted after the repeal of policy 5756, and what benefits or challenges have arisen and may arise?
My guess is that nothing has really changed, because I think our teachers, our counselors have always encouraged children, if they came to them with a problem, to speak to their parents. But what it comes down to is removing the policy did nothing, because it's a state law. They have to follow the state law. The reason the policy was in place is because the law is 47 pages. The policy was 6. So the policy basically just took the law and put it down into simple terms that a teacher could understand it, a counselor could understand it, and they knew very well what they could and couldn't do. Now the process is probably more difficult because they don't have that policy to follow. I'm sure they end up going to Dr. Santoro with more questions about what can or can't be done in different situations. But it's the law, so nothing has really changed.
Christy, thank you.
Sorry, would you mind repeating the question?
Sure. It's how has education in the school district been impacted after the repeal of policy 5756, and what benefits or challenges have arisen or may arise?
So I echo Annette. I also can say from my children's perspectives, I haven't heard of anything that they've witnessed changing in one direction or the other. I do think from an opportunity perspective, there is an opportunity to provide more training for those practitioners within the schools to work with students, particularly students who say out loud, you know, I don't want my parents to know. There may be an abusive situation at home which needs to be addressed, or it's just that somebody needs an advocate and help having difficult conversations with their parents. You know, as a parent, I love my children no matter what. And I want my children to feel like they can talk to me no matter what. I think with the proper training in the schools, we can guide our students towards being able to have those conversations with their parents.
Thank you. Adam.
Yeah, as a parent, I do not want to have information withheld from me about my children, okay? However, I agree with Chris. If we were able to train counselors, even if you designated a counselor an expert in that area, to help communicate with kids, to bridge the gap between the child and the parent, so that never happens where a parent is, information is kept from a parent, I think that's a really good avenue to go down. It's just a dangerous thing when you blanket policy. Every parent can't get that information, and there are extended circumstances where abuse or whatnot's going on, and that should be addressed individually. I think a blanket policy is not correct, and I haven't heard of any change, like Ned said, so I can't speak to that, but I agree with Chris as far as offering more resources so that situation never happens where a parent is kept from getting information about the child.
Thank you. Jen.
So I'll address, because the policy is the policy and it's the law, so we follow it. What are the challenges that may arise? So let me give you a little bit of a hypothetical. This rule is in place to protect a very small number of kids. Kids with special protections for a very certain reason. And it is only those kids who are really in danger if this law is removed, okay? It's only the kids that may be thrown out of their house, or may get beaten, or have some reason to be afraid of telling their parent something. This is the kids that are being protected. So it is the law, it's in place, it should stay in place, and it's important for those who need it, not for those who don't.
Thank you. Chris?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sharon.
Okay.
I apologize.
Well, I respect every, sorry, not doing well with this mic tonight. Well, I respect every student and want every child in Roxbury to feel safe, supported, and treated with dignity. I felt that this particular policy took too much authority away from parents and local decision makers. I voted no on keeping using policy 5756 because I believe it went beyond the role of the school district should be mandated to enforce. In addition, if you look at the HIV numbers, since we removed policy 5756, the HIV incidents to that particular population have actually fallen, not to be less. So I don't believe it's had much effect.
Chris?
Sure.
Yeah.
No, and that hit the nail right on the head. Nothing really has changed. Nothing's changed. I don't know if we can directly correlate it to this population, but HIVs have dropped. The issue with the law is, yes, it is extremely lengthy, but really the issue is just one particular piece, and that was about not sharing with parents. Removing the policy doesn't require teachers to share with parents, but what it does is remove it removes certain powers from the wrong individuals. And let's face it, there are people that are in positions, that are teachers, that may take it upon themselves to, not do what's in the kid's best interest or not communicate with parents. So removing the policy doesn't require teachers not to tell the parents. But it removes a lot of potential for secrets to be kept. And I think we are in a community where our teachers truly do care about the students and will do the right thing.
Okay, thank you. Our next question has to do with age-appropriate library books. We received several questions from the community on the subject of age-appropriate library books. So the first question, this question will start with Chris M. And it is, what is your position on providing student access to books with explicit sexual content?
I think that's simple. Students should not have unfettered access to explicit images in books. I think we recently dealt with this with 2 books, and the thing is, it's a very delicate situation because they're already in place. Limiting access to them is not a ban. We hear that word thrown around all the time. It's not a ban. It's being responsible with and keeping parental rights in place where you don't have certain books that clearly violate New Jersey's even refined definition of obscenity. Put it behind the shelf. Let the parents sign off on whether their kid can get access to this book or not. I mean, it's plain and simple. But we have these things in place, and we'll work through it. But I am not in agreement with having these things with unfettered access to kids with explicit content.
Sharon?
I'm committed to ensuring all materials in school libraries and classrooms are age appropriate. I do not believe in banning books, whether I support placing books that may not be suitable for all students behind the counter, where they remain accessible to the appropriate audience and to students whose parents or guardians approve of them, which is the reason I voted to have them placed behind the counter. I had no reservation regarding the committee's decision, as the committee was mostly made up of educators, and I felt that the community was not represented. I also want to emphasize that the recent book discussions have nothing to do with LGBTQ+ content. Books in question were placed behind the counter solely due to sexually mature content. There are approximately 110 other titles in the high school library that include LGBTQ+ themes. I do support a fair and transparent book review process for all concerns. This process should involve a panel, including students, when appropriate, a balanced group of parents representing the community, educators and staff who read the book and vote on its placement.
Thank you. Jennifer?
educational professionals that we hire here in town should be the ones making the decisions, and we should listen to them. They're the ones that need to curate the knowledge that we have to offer. And no knowledge should really be out of bounds as long as educators deem it appropriate for the age. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a insight, because many of you probably do not have insight. One of the books that is under discussion, I took the time to listen to as an audiobook. And it is not in any way pornographic. It is actually a memoir of a human being who went through identity challenges. And the author speaks in her own voice and communicates her own journey. And that is what this book is about. And if you open it and read it.
Thank you. Adam?
Yeah, I don't believe explicit material should be made available to students in public schools. I just don't. I believe that what some of the rules they've enacted are going well. I've heard a lot of people say, well, they can find it anywhere. They can find it on the internet. They can go here, they can go there. I just don't believe that public schools should be another outlet for students to find sexually explicit material.
Thank you. Chris?
So I understand why this is a question that has come up, because if you Google Roxbury School District, unfortunately you see among the great things that happen in the school district, you see the news articles, etc., the video clips. But the thing is, we already have a policy. This board created a policy to deal with this. And so we have a procedure. And that is also to make sure that one individual and their own personal views aren't usurping the parental rights of other parents. So now the issue happens when you have members of the board who don't respect the process that they themselves created and decide to overturn the results of that committee. So when working properly, we have the mechanisms in place that if there is a book that the entire community together feels is not appropriate, there's a mechanism to deal with that. So I feel like, you know, and I applaud the members of the board who put together a policy for that.
Thank you. Annette?
We actually have a number of policies. We have a policy that allows a parent to opt out of letting their child take out a book from the library. The books that are in question are, first off, in a high school. It's not in the lower schools, as many people have been led to believe. And these books, this book that was just challenged recently, this is the second time it's been challenged. So it's the second time a different committee, so probably about 30 people now have been on committees, read the book, discussed the book, and decided that it was appropriate to be on the shelf. What happened then, though, is that the board disregarded their own policy, overrode the committee that had done this work from, you know, had spent hours doing this work, and made their own decision. But they're not educators. I think we need to listen to the educators, and as someone in the board meeting mentioned, no one had even asked Dr. Santora's opinion at that meeting about the situation.
Thank you. Okay, the next, we're going to move on to the budget. And in the interest of time, we've combined related questions. So I'm going to allow extra time for candidates to respond to this question. So, no, I'm going to tell you. You will have 90 seconds for the following question. You might want to get your pens ready. The question is, Roxbury School District has lost a significant amount of funding in the last few years, resulting in the loss of teachers, the assistant superintendent, and paraprofessionals who are essential to students with IEPs. What will you prioritize in developing the school budget? Please speak specifically to replacing staff, funding teachers to attend conferences and staff development, or professional development, and providing stipends for coaches and club advisors. So please respond to those three things specifically. And this one starts with Chris C.
Wow, I hadn't even finished writing.
Sorry.
Okay. So obviously the budget's of a big concern, and it's not going to get any better. and we're about to have a federal shutdown, and that may impact some of the federal funds that this district has already budgeted. So we don't know what's going to happen on a state aid level. We don't know what's going to happen on a federal level. I think, first of all, I have to applaud Dr. Santora and especially Mr. Mondaro, who have made it a priority to find ways to bring more students who are receiving special services back into district, who've been sent out of district. I think that still has to be top of mind, because the ripple effects of that will provide more availability of funds for other opportunities. I think from a professional development perspective, while I don't think it is the role of the board to nitpick and decide, from a topical perspective, which is appropriate or not, I do think that maybe you look at opportunities where there's group registrations, where you get a discount for larger participation, or bringing in-service professional development. There are those opportunities as well. So I think those are some areas. The stipends, that's an area that I think has to be looked into. You want to look at return on investment. I hate to bring in a business term into education, but return on investment.
Thank you. Adam, you're next.
I think the current Board of Ed should be applauded for how they dealt with the school funding cuts. It's across the board. You read the paper and go through New Jersey, town by town by town. Everyone's losing their state aid. It's very difficult to deal with, and there's going to be more challenges budget-wise in the future. I think, just to circle back, that's where a lot of that transparency we talked about comes into play, where people just see cuts and they don't understand what they're dealing with. So I think moving forward, being transparent with what we're dealing with budget-wise is hugely important. And as far as solving the problems, you're really going to have to get creative. When attrition occurs, you might have to have educators fill more than one role that they're not accustomed to. But there's going to be challenges, and that transparency is vital at that point. And we have to get creative to not lower the level of education, the level of service, but deal with doing that with a lot less money.
Thank you. Sharon, you're next on this one.
As you know, our state aid has been cut by $7.7 million. And also this year, an extra $100,000 was cut, and equalization aid, which has helped us offset these losses in the past, was eliminated. In addition, transportation costs have risen $750,000, health benefit costs have risen by 15%, salaries are up 3.4%, federal and state mandated special needs, out-of-district placements costs rose by $1.3 million. These reductions in costs make balancing the budget increasingly difficult while still trying to maintain high-quality programs for our students. Last year, our business administrator and superintendent did an excellent job managing these cuts without eliminating clubs or reducing staff to good standard. I'm committed to continuing that approach by supporting our efforts, exploring new revenue opportunities such as grants and shared services, working closely with appropriate committees to develop a budget that is served for our schools and task force. In addition, Dr. Santora, I know, has the goal of improving our special needs programs so that it becomes revenue generated and we can attract kids from other districts. We also have the Roxbury Education Foundation, which is a team of volunteers that are dedicated to raising funds for the Roxbury School teachers and administrators.
Thank you. Jennifer.
Yeah, of course the budget is a problem. Of course, this town is doing the best they can with the limited resources. Yes, everybody around the state and around the country is suffering with this. So, teacher retention and not losing teachers, and every time we lose a teacher because of retirement, it puts more on the remaining teachers, and it increases their level of stress, and that's also with parents. So I know most people are just willing to buckle down and do it for the sake of the town, but it is a contributing factor to the stress of the situation, the budget, and limited resources. I personally love Chris's idea about crowdsourcing professional development. So, I mean, not crowdsourcing, but bringing it in-house to make it easier for teachers to get their professional development hours. And also, I think we have to look at stipends and clubs and maybe reduce some of that. Maybe we go and get more sponsors, get more boosters for the music club, get more boosters for the sports, and ask people to donate to the programs so we don't have to put as much school funding into those extracurriculars.
Thank you. Chris? Anna?
Sure. Well, real quick, what I'm looking at here is this is the printout of the budget presentation. So we're talking transparency as part of this. This is right on our website. Joe Montanaro, our business administrator, is a wizard with what he and Dr. Santora have been able to do since getting the news, which is, Joe's always been very responsible. I watch what he does, I see what he does, and it is quite admirable. We have lost quite a bit. We have not lost any teachers that were, as Sharon mentioned, that are in good standing. Dr. Santora has done a great job of shifting pieces around to alleviate the burden of that while not having the new salary benefits and everything that comes with an additional staff member. Sure, we want to have as many people as we can, many all hands on deck sort of thing to help our students, absolutely. I think we've become sort of spoiled in the sense that we've had such a huge budget for so long. But as everybody knows, anybody who lives here, things have happened over the past few years. What drives the state aid is median income, home values, and enrollment. People are moving from more affluent areas. They have a lot more money. They're spending more money because this is a very desirable area, driving up home values. Enrollment has dropped. So these are the three factors that created the huge drop in income.
Annette?
The budget has always been a very touchy situation. One thing I think Mr. Montanaro and Dr. Santora are fabulous at doing what every household is doing right now, every head of household, which is where can we cut expenses without having an effect on the family, on the house. So they are doing that. They're doing a fantastic job. So I think we have to work on the other side, increasing revenue or coming up with creative ways to do this. One of the things that I had suggested was the student teachers. If the class size is going up, a student teacher might be able to take some of the burden off the teacher without it costing the township any money. Another way, bringing kids back into district for special ed. That's a fantastic program. That's a way to actually help without it costing us money. Every time we get a choice student, we're getting some revenue off of that, which helps us make money. Basically, we have to make sure our dollars are working hard for us. And this is one place where I think having discussions in public could really help because, let's face it, everyone is in the same position in their own household and everyone has their own ideas. And people have a lot of ideas on things that could help the district. We just need to tap into the residents and ask the community what their ideas are as well.
Thank you. We have one question from the attendees. I should ask it, even though we're running a little bit late. But if people are here, they should be able to have their questions asked. So the question is, and we will start with Jennifer on this one. The question is, the 6 of you are running on 2 slates. Please identify the slate you are running on and indicate how your slate differs from the other slate. Yes, 1 minute. Sorry. And what I said we were going to start with Jennifer.
The members running on my slate are Chris Conson and Annette Brooks. I believe one of the things that we bring to the table is new blood, fresh perspective. There are concerns that our test scores are low and that our ratings are low, and there's been some backwards movement. We are a fresh set of people who might be able to inject some new ideas, some different paths, some conversations that we can have that are a little fresher. Two of us are educators, so we have that also in our back.
Thank you, Shannon. I'm running with Adam Del Bercio and Chris Moby. We are Education Above All. The statistics for Roxbury Township School District reveal a disturbing truth. Our schools are drifting and our students are paying the price. The core mission of education is academics, but we are failing in fundamental areas. Only 37% of our students are proficient in math, and high school is even lower. Worse, the significant academic advantage of our students, once held, is rapidly eroding. Since 2019, our district's average performance has plummeted, dropping from over one full grade level above the national average, barely hanging on. Even in reading, where we look good on paper, the same advantage has nearly vanished. The academic decline is a result of mission drift. When we prioritize trendy, idealistic agendas, we steal time, focus, and resources from teaching core subjects like math, reading, and science. The decline in scores is an inevitable consequence of that distraction. My pledge as an Education First candidate is simple. We will stop the mission drift and execute an immediate return to academic rigor.
Thank you. Adam, the question was, how do you differ from two? What are your, pardon? Yeah, I'll read the question again. 6 of you are running on 2 slates. Please identify the slate you're running on and indicate how your slate differs from the other slate. Adam?
Yeah, I'm running with Sharon and Chris, and what differentiates us is the amount of community experience in Roxbury we have. We have a great mix of experienced Board of Ed members and new ideas with myself. I think my ticket is extremely well-rounded. There really isn't a subject area where one of us doesn't have significant experiences or resources available to us to perform the task of Board of Ed members. I think we bring just experience, new ideas, and well-rounded resources and life experience to do this job.
Thank you. Chris?
As mentioned before, I am...
Chrissy.
Oh, sorry, Chris.
That was Chrissy.
Is that what Chrissy? Okay.
I was looking at him.
So I'm running with Jen and Annette, and our slate is education, community, and opportunity. I actually want to borrow language somebody else mentioned, that we are drifting and paying the price. And what differs is that we are not the incumbents. We offer an opportunity to move forward, because if we are drifting and paying the price, that is in part due to the current leadership. And so we need to go in a different direction, and that's what these 3 individuals who are not currently on the board will offer you from our diverse experiences, both professionally and personally.
Thank you. Annette?
As Chris just said, our slate is education, opportunity, and community. We want to involve the community in the schools and help the education move forward instead of staying stagnant and moving backward as we have in recent years. I think between the 3 of us, we have 2 educators, and we have myself who knows the history of the education in the district. And we can bring the schools back to being forward and moving back up to the top 100 instead of continuing to slide down.
Thank you. And Chris M.
Sure. I am running with Sharon and Adam, Education Above All. And with regards to the scores, I mentioned this earlier, this is like navigating a cruise ship or a big cargo liner. You make moves now for changes down the line. It's not a quick, tiny little speedboat where you can turn on a dime. I believe those measures are in place already. And we're going to continue to support Dr. Santora and our administration. I believe what sets us apart is we are staying positive. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And we are involved in a lot of different areas. We do have a lot of skin in the game with our kids, and involved in the community and all that. And it's not a matter of a few little headlining things that have been what's drawing people out to run. We're doing a lot of great things that most people don't see and don't want to even pay attention to.
Thank you.
Well, that brings us to our third section of this evening's forum, and that is the closing statements. And then you remember we added 30 seconds to the closing statement so that people could rebut anything they needed to. Again, the candidates drew numbers to see who would go when during the closing, and Chris Conson drew the first number.
Thank you. So again, I want to express my gratitude to all of our hosts and those who took the time to submit questions and join in either now or when they are viewing this online, either right now or later on. Also, a special thank you to my wife and my kids who are very supportive, even though they don't care, but they are very supportive in their own way in this endeavor. In my professional life, I work daily at providing opportunities for high school students, whether they are working ahead towards their collegiate goals or in providing them with expansive workforce curriculum so they can find meaningful employment after graduation. I currently represent my college on several county committees, including our school superintendent's roundtable and various high school career and technical education advisory boards. These boards include local employers who are consistently giving the feedback that the students are not carrying over the soft skills they need to be fully successful in the workplace. So it is through this work that I know what students need during their time on the K-12 level and to be successful beyond. Also, I mentioned in my introduction, navigating the special education process provides me with direct knowledge of our district's strengths and where we need to improve, such as, for instance, the actual consistent return of the CPAC. Giving it the support it needs to sustain. Some people may tell you that the CPAC is there. I'm telling you I've signed up twice to be a parent representative and I'm still waiting for that call back. I do understand there's been a change of leadership, so I give grace, but I'm chomping at the bit, unless I'm elected to the board, and I'll have a different role, but I'm chomping at the bit to get involved. As both an educator and administrator, I know that strong leadership requires hiring talented people and then empowering them to use those talents without interference or micromanagement. I believe the Board of Education demonstrates leadership by acting ethically and being driven by ideals, not ideology. We are facing a rapidly changing future and we need forward-thinking leadership to prepare our district and our students to face that future successfully. We need to go beyond basics, and 456 will propel us forward. So please visit roxburyeducation.org to learn more. And I also want to say thank you to the other individuals at the table who are running as well. It's been lovely meeting them and getting to know them.
Thank you so much. Chris M., do the second slide.
All right, well, not so much rebuttals, but just comments that I didn't really necessarily get a chance to make. With regards to the committees and shortening down or removing the reports, this was also this was a function of listening to the public. Many people reached out saying these meetings are too long. We're not getting information that really is important to us. Not that a lot of this information that is provided from the committee reports isn't important. This is why we are also still in the process as a board currently trying to refine this process to see how we can get the information. This is a very short-term knee-jerk reaction sort of thing, but it was based on public outreach regarding the length of the meetings. Realistically, what shortens the meetings is presentations. We have a lot of great presentations, but they take up a good portion of the time of the meeting. So the time of the meeting isn't necessarily as important as the content of the meeting. With that being said, be an informed voter. Just be informed. Know who you're voting for. The students of Roxbury are counting them. When you step into that booth on November 4th, just remember this. The Del Gershio Mildy McGregor team has 8 children amongst the 3,500 or so students in our district. This means we don't just want to, we need to make sure every child is in a safe, supportive environment where they can reach their fullest academic potential. We've got real skin in the game, and we're committed to making decisions that put students first while still respecting parental rights. And just as important, we believe schools should be free from politics. Education should be about preparing students for success, not pushing agendas. We didn't just recently come out of the woodwork when sexually explicit books were in question. We were here, we were listening, taking our time to get it right. For the record, we could have removed it completely, but we didn't. We felt we compromised in hopes that it would remove division amongst our community, reduce distractions, and do what is right for all students. Our agenda is simple. It's to make student safety a priority and focus on education above all. Thank you.
Thank you. Annette?
Thank you to the moderators and hosts tonight. Thank you to all for coming and watching at home. I know my children received an excellent education in Roxbury, and I want that for every student in the district as well. I will use my experience on the Board of Education as well as my financial background to help bring the district back to the top 100. We have a board that is inexperienced in the history of Roxbury education, and most probably don't even remember that within the last 10 years, we were well above Rockaway and Mount Olive. Now we're 100 points behind them. The board is in need of real leadership and guidance, and I can provide that and bring us back to the top. We need a board that is nonpartisan and one that will work for the better of all students in the district. We need to work with the administration, not override their decisions and our own policies for our own personal beliefs. I will work to bring our board back to the days where we had public discussions before voting and approached every resolution with an open mind, listening to comments from other board members and the public. A vote for Compton, Brooks, and Marchese, 456, is a vote for the future educational success of all children in the district.
Thank you. Adam?
Thank you. I believe in the Board of Education system. And with that said, I believe I'm a tailor-made candidate to be a member of the Board of Ed. I grew up here. I attended school here, K through 8. I spent 25 years as a police officer in Roxbury Township. My career was based here. And I chose to raise my family in the town I grew up in. I had an incredible educational experience at Roxbury. I want the same for my children. And I'm hoping that my next phase in Roxbury will be as a Board of Education member. I still have a lot of motivation to give back to this community. I look forward to improving teacher retention, school safety, and enacting forward-thinking education for our district. With that said, I hope you'll consider me, and I have your vote, and vote Doug Gershio, Milton McGregor. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon?
Thank you. I'd just like to do 2 notes. First of all is the note that Dr. Santoro was not asked about the book, how he feels. We did not ask Dr. Santoro his opinion about the book because Dr. Santoro really is supposed to give his opinion on the book. He's supposed to be reading the policies in education and the administration. Second of all, I want to talk about the board meetings. Roxbury has 23,000 residents, and on average, only about 100 people who are voting these live or stream. That's less than 1%. Our highest viewership was 500 views back on December 11th, which only is a little bit over 2% of the count. And those figures don't even tell us how long a person is engaged with the live stream video. That tells us that making meetings longer isn't going to increase engagement. In fact, it's more likely going to turn people off. What matters is making our meetings clear, transparent, and accessible so that the public easily understand what's happening without having to sit through hours of discussion. To me, to respect people's time and effort. In closing, thank you again for the opportunity to speak tonight. I can promise you that I won't make promises that I can't keep, but I will promise to work hard to keep the kids safe, secure, and successful. I believe in transparency and trust, which means being up in front of our community. While I share the desire to give raises to our dedicated teachers and paraprofessionals to invest in cutting-edge technology and expand programs and services, I must also acknowledge the financial strain our district is faced due to 7 years of S2 funding reductions. As an experienced board member, I understand the weight of making this difficult decisions. These challenges demand thoughtful prioritization, ensuring our most essential needs are met first. Elected, I will collaborate with fellow board members, the superintendent, board attorney, and business administrator to shape policies and set goals that keep our district moving forward despite fiscal constraints. We also desperately need to boost teacher morale. My commitment remains clear to advocate fiercely for our schools, uphold transparency, and practice responsible stewardship of taxpayer dollars. Education will always be my top priority, and I ask for your support and support for my colleagues, Dr. Gershio and Lily, so we can continue helping Roxbury students move
forward to welcome.
Thank you. Jennifer? Yes, these are just some notes that I took during the process, and some of my understanding, because I am new to the situation, but it is my understanding that the board doesn't exist to guide the curriculum. It doesn't write the curriculum. It can't return us to a time where we only focus on basics. Curriculum, in my belief, is set by the state, and it is not the job of the board or us people to dictate what to teach or how to teach. It is the job of the board to set district policy and support our staff and represent the will of people to the administration. And that is my understanding of what this job is. These are my prepared remarks. Once again, I want to offer my thanks to the League of Women Voters, the West Morris Reporter, and the Morristown Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Sorority for hosting the event. I would also like to extend that appreciation to all of you at home and here tonight. I also want to further extend my thanks to the unseen, valuable staff members that helped make this event possible, including the tech team, security, and facilities workers who worked so hard to get us here. Tonight, much was said on the stage, and I hope that it informs your decisions going forward. I do not have all the answers to the problems that the Roxbury educational community is or will be facing, but it is my commitment tonight to do my best with openness, integrity, and empathy. As a student, I suffered in silence every day with an undiagnosed learning disability. I didn't know how to advocate for myself until the second time I went to college. I don't want any student to suffer in silence, and I pledge to support every student on their journey, no matter where it takes them. I thank you for your support tonight. If you have any more questions about me or my running mates, Annette and Chris, you can reach us at our campaign website. Remember to vote on November 4th, and I hope you choose us. Constance Marchese, 456, a great new mix.
Thank you. And that concludes this evening's debate. I want to thank you all for the opportunity, for giving me the opportunity to be your moderator. I want to thank the candidates for their participation tonight, so that they can let the voters know where they stand on issues that are important to them. And I'm going to turn it over to Sarah to close and let you know when and how you can vote. Okay, I'd like to start our closing by thanking Ann Rose and the PTO for helping us organize this debate and putting it all together. We are also grateful, to our co-sponsors, the West Morris Reporter and the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Morris Alumni Chapter, for their nonpartisan participation and support, and look forward to continuing our work together with them. We also thank the candidates, Adam Del Garcio, Christopher Milden, Sharon McGregor, Christopher Conlon, Annette Brooks, and Jennifer Marchese. We thank you for showing up tonight and for participating in this forum. We thank our timer, Diane Holland, our moderator, Nancy Hedinger, and the volunteers who helped make this evening possible. Thank you to the audience, attending now and watching now and later, for being active participants in the democratic process. We would also like to thank Gaelvision, the Roxbury High School student-run AD program, for live streaming this forum. Remember to make your vote count in the New Jersey general election. Again, there are 3 ways to vote. Vote by mail, early in person, with a machine, starting on October 25th, or on Election Day, Tuesday, November 4th. To learn more about early voting, vote by mail, polling locations, or any other voting information, you can visit vote411.org. And now for the small print. The content of this forum is owned by the League of Women Voters. Only the League and those authorized by the League may record this forum. The recording may be viewed live on Gaelvision's YouTube channel, and the recording can also be viewed on the League of Women Voter Morris Area's YouTube channel afterwards. We encourage you to share the link, but remind you that the recording can only be shared in its entirety.
It cannot be downloaded and footage may not be edited in any way. The league name, logo, recording, or materials from this event cannot be used in a way that could lead a viewer or reader to infer league support or opposition to a candidate or party. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the evening.